Hey everybody, welcome to our video on copying data from Access to Excel. In this video I want to talk about two very easy manual ways to copy data from an Access table into an Excel spreadsheet. Now these are manual ways, and quite frankly that we're just going to use the copy and paste functionality that already exists in Windows. I'm going to head over to our sample database. Here I've got a very small, very simple table. Okay, a couple columns here. And what we want to do here is just click on this top left-hand corner button in the table grid. Selects all the rows and all the columns. And then either Control C to copy or go to your Home tab and click Copy. Open up Excel and Control V to paste it in. There you go. And that's it. Head back over to the table. You can also select just certain columns. If they're contiguous, it's very easy to do. You just click, drag your selection. That's going to get all the rows for you. Again, Control C. Head back over to our spreadsheet and paste those in. Same sort of thing happens. You can even select certain rows and columns, but they have to be contiguous if you're going to do this. If you find yourself needing to select certain rows, I think I would start filtering the rows. After you get the rows you want, then go and select the columns you want and then paste them over. Now there's a caveat that comes with this one, and that is I am loath to give customers access to raw tables. Okay, so if you are working on a database, working with a database that you have deployed or plan to deploy to your customers, I wouldn't do this at all. Okay, if you've got business rules built into your forms restricting certain values in certain columns or restricting certain combinations of values in between columns, you give them access to these tables and all those rules can be bypassed by a person coming in here and manually editing the data. All kinds of dangerous things can happen. If you let them in here, they can delete rows, they can modify data accidentally, they can drop an entire table, right? And you just click delete and it's gone. So not something that I would deploy to a customer, but something I use all the time myself as a developer of a database or as the owner of a database. The second method, instead of copying from a table, would be to copy from a query. Now I've got a query set up here. Let's pull it up in design mode. This one selects 3 columns from the same table. We'll run it here, and it's the same sort of thing. Click upper left-hand corner, Control C, and then paste into your spreadsheet. It works exactly the same way. However, I think we have the same caveats here that we have if we're considering giving our customers access to raw tables. I do not want to give my customers access to this Create tab, nor do I want to give them access to this Query Design button. Right? You come in here, backspace over the select word, right? Type in delete star from some table. Right? Same sort of thing. Delete, update, append. Heck, there's nothing to stop somebody from typing in DDL here. Dropping a table, altering a data type in an existing column. So again, all the things we discussed with access to raw tables apply here. Now, having said all that, I have deployed a modified version of this in 2 databases I have in the field, and it's working great. But what I did in those cases was I don't allow them access to that Create tab. Instead, I built a form, a custom query form. Okay, and on that form, they've got a place for a name, so they can find the query after they've saved it. There's a place for a description, a long-winded description of what the query returns, and there's a large text box linked to a MMO field that holds the query string. Give them the ability to save the queries. They have a list box on the left side of the form, or excuse me, the left side of the form that lists the queries that they've saved. In one case, one customer has so many queries that we had to give her a category for queries. She can put queries into categories, and we have a second list box. The list box at the top is categories. She clicks on a category that then filters the list of queries in the bottom box, and then she can find her query. In a second database, it's a multi-user database, And that one, instead of having categories, we have user IDs. So we keep track of who created a query, and they can then click on their user ID in the top box and see just queries that belong to them. If you're going to go that route, though, I would be careful about looking at who owns which query. Okay, if you have somebody trying to modify an existing query, look at who they are and make sure that they should be allowed to modify that query, right? If Jack modifies Mary's query, and Mary gets angry at Jack and they have a fight, but then they make up because they have to work together every day, and they come after you and they get mad at you for letting them do that to each other. So check on that. Another thing I would check on if you're going to do this is, again, all we've done is change the way they can execute queries. And the reason I went to a custom form was to prevent them from altering data and altering database structures. So you need to prevent them from doing those things. And so put in the VBA behind your execute query button a check for all these commands you don't want them to be able to do. So looking for things like, looking for keywords, insert, update, delete, append, grant, revoke, alter, drop, create, execute shell is a huge one. With shell, you can execute other Windows processes. So scrub the SQL string, look for those keywords, you find them, don't let the query execute. Okay, and then you've protected your database from accidental problems. I think this is a viable solution as part of a larger solution for getting data out of your database. I don't think I would deploy this as the only way of getting data out of your database. And in both cases, we have access reports also as a matter for them to get data out of the database. And in both cases, what the customers do is when they find they have a need for something new, they ask themselves the question, because for me to build an access report and to deliver it is more expensive than just writing a query. Okay, so they ask themselves, is this something I'm going to do multiple times? I'm going to have to do it every week or every month, or is it something I'm going to do one time, or maybe once this year, maybe once next year? If they're going to do it a lot, then they'll usually spring for me to build a full-blown access report, or maybe a report that exports data to Excel automatically for them. If it's something I'm going to do once or twice, then I'll just build a query for them, write the query for them. I can deliver that via email. They can copy paste it into their interface and then execute it and save it. Assuming I understand what they're asking for, we can usually turn that around in one day versus multiple days for a new report. Anyhow, that's I'll get off my high horse now. That is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this and learned a little something from it. I'm going to do another video shortly on probably linking a spreadsheet to a table in Access to give a more permanent connection and a more user-friendly way of refreshing the data. So until then, thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.